Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk. Welcome back, and today we have Captain History 99. I like history, man. Big fan of history myself. But we got the Captain O History 99. He's in his AMX 30, Tier 9, in a Tier 9 and 8 battle here on Himmel's Ghost Town Dorf. Sent me a note. Just a small aside, by the way. Two things, actually. Number one, thanks for coming and checking out this video. I do appreciate the support. Have a great day. Number two is the replays have been broken again because of the multiple patches we've had in the last couple weeks. This last one being the Halloween event. So I've have a bunch of broken replays. Fortunately, Captain History here must have done this today or in the fairly recent past. So his is working. There are multiple other replays you guys have sent me that are from a week ago or so that I can't use. So unfortunately, I apologize for that. Keep them coming, though. That does not mean if you send me a replay that I don't use, that I don't appreciate it, or that I won't use one of your replays in the future. It's just one replay a day for 5 days a week, etc., etc. So I do appreciate it. Keep them coming. All right, that being said, we have Captain History who has sent me this nice note. He says, this was an encounter battle in Ghost Town. Facts. I spawned in the north and went to the left side, also known as from this direction, the east side, I believe. Trying to do that in my brain there. I took note almost immediately that I had a little help. It was him, a T92 and a T54 Mod 1. All right, good enough. So I already knew things probably weren't going to go well if the purples brought any kind of force. All right, good thoughts. I like all of those thoughts. He's thinking about that. And they did. They brought a Panther 2, Renegade, E50, and a T54. I knew that staying there to fight was a losing proposition, so I fell back. All right, we'll see how that goes. The T54 Mod 1 did the same. After he signaled them, they both fell back to defensible. He says the purples clearly have not seen my videos, as they must have thought they won the flank. Interesting. And he said something that I don't think I've actually said directly, but I like the way he said it. When in reality, we didn't really contest it. Very important. We'll talk about that when we get there. I like the way he said that. They continued to push him like Muppets, and the 54 Mod 1 cleaned them up, and I ended up capping to a win. He thought this was a good example of spontaneous teamwork, so let's see how that works, and interested in feedback and whatnot. So I like that little write-up. Let's see how that goes. We are not doing field mods, I guess, yet for this tank, or haven't finished them. The AMX 30 is the Tier 9. It is currently a collector's vehicle. You cannot get this on the tech tree. But when you unlock Tier 9s, then you can go ahead and grab this bad boy out of the collector. So we'll go ahead and move it. Actually, he said left side. He's going to the right. So did he say left side? Left side of the map. Left side as we're looking at the map. Right side as we are looking south. Okay. Basically, he's going up to the escarpment up there, up to the, what is that called? The, it'll come to me in a minute. I can't think of it right now. Plateau? Yeah, that's it, right? It is a plateau. Station Sniper's boiling in there. Bailing? He's not bailing anything. But he is boiling right in there. And the T54 Mod 1 is actually pretty far back, so he did not take the shortcut. You can take that shortcut, by the way, folks, on this map, where our hero came right across here without going up and over like the 54 Mod 1. If you are fast, note he got lit right about there. So if you're slow and you get lit right about here, it could be a long, painful drive as you get smacked in the side. So roll your dice, take your chance. Fast tanks can do that. If they have a lot of fast tanks, sometimes you get hit, you know, you're rolling the dice a little bit. So he gets up onto the, what was it again? Peninsula? Plateau, yeah. Up onto this high point, the hill in the west side, also known as the right side of the map, the left side of the map with north oriented up, right side of the map with north oriented down. This is why a lot of players ask you to give cardinal directions. That way they can figure that out. Clearly, I cannot. We're hanging out here. We got an oh-ho. He's lit behind some buildings right there. Looks like the 54 Mod 1 has come up. So there are only two of them. As he noted, he's thinking, well, this is feeling a little light. especially if they bring any kind of heat over this way. So far there's 2 tanks, but one of them is the tier 9, so it's a tier 9 medium. He's also got, oh wait, he's got 3 guys lit over there as of right now, so he knows there's 3. Outnumbered by 1, it would appear. T-92 is doing a bang-up job in a bush down there. I'm not really sure what that's all about. I don't know if I've ever seen a scout sit there. You guys, is that a place you go? What is he doing? Oh, he's on that hill. Okay. I thought he was a little closer to the building. So he's just, I don't know. He's in a bush, right? Scouts get in bushes? Is that what happens? I think it is. Scout in a bush. Oh boy. Thought he might try to snap the old hatcherino right there. I don't think this is a bad idea so far. You know you're outnumbered. They have 2 of their 9s over here, it looks like, plus a heavy now. So now there's 4, and they've figured it out. Right? They've only seen you and maybe the T-54 take little peeky pokes. I would probably do the same thing with the T-54. A little bit surprised he didn't take any damage. Maybe he did. There we go. There we go. So those guys are getting lit up by the... Well, I thought it was the T-92. He's gone now. And we bail out. I like this. I think... Ooh, oh boy. All right. This line, this is difficult. And it's hard to get out of this position up here, my friends. It really is. You have 2 choices. Do what he's doing. Kind of cruise through this open area here. The other one is to go straight back, and then you've got to climb up a hill. And you've either got to climb up the long hill here to get up onto the point, or you're going to go up the shorter route, but you're stuck behind this rock outcropping right here. Not a lot of good choices. Let's see how it works out for Captain History. Looks like he got away with it. E-50's moving up. All right, another thing I will watch when I'm doing stuff like this. First of all, I try to zoom out and look back towards the enemy so I can get some essay on what's going on. It makes it harder to drive, and sometimes you run in to or off of things, but I do like to do that. Even if I'm going forward, though, and I know they're coming out behind me back there, I will turn my turret around if I can remember, so that the front part of my turret, the strong part of my turret, is facing them, just in case they take a shot. I don't always manage to do that, but as a technique, that's a good technique for running away. Just something to think about. There we go. Kind of like you're doing there now. It's mostly just the camera swinging the turret around. 54 Mod 1 runs to that back corner, so he took the other way there. Ended up eating a shot, and they may have been kind of aiming at him and shooting at him. So I like this. We've fallen back. It's really about all we can do over here. Captain History did talk about this being this side, the side he went to, the west side of the map, being the critical terrain. I don't know. For mediums, it's not a bad spot to be. I don't know if it's exactly the critical terrain on this map. You certainly don't want them getting up here behind you. We got lit doing that. We're standing in. I don't know if I would have stood in there, because you're definitely going to take another shot. Man, they have a lot of guys over here. Looks like he wants to try to take a cheeky shot at you. T-54 Mod 1's keeping them from really pushing up. So I think the escarpment, the hill, the needs to be contested, or at least looked at. I think your runaway action here was the right answer in this case, and you're pretty well just mauling these dudes as they push up. One thing I will say about positions like this, even if you go dark, especially if there's 4 guns, 1 less now, looks like the Panther II died, you will get that bush blind shot a lot. So be careful about just kind of hanging out in there. Sometimes I'll pull back just a little bit and see if there's shots going by. Maybe they'll hit the ground, and that will let me know if they're taking shots into that. There's not a whole lot you can do about it, but I think just simply driving into the bush and sitting there is maybe not a great idea, especially when they saw you in that bush. They know you're going to come by at some time. So there's a little bit of a cat and mouse game going on right there. There's not a perfect answer. You can't just go, well, I should just hang out behind these rocks, because now you're not getting the vision, you're not seeing them, you're not getting shots, all that stuff. Just be cognizant that some players will be smart enough to go, all right, I saw him, he shot, he backed up, count to 10 or 12 or 15 or something like that. All right, if he's going to poke back out, he's out there now, and they'll start shooting in there. Just be aware that that's definitely a thing. The higher the tiers are, the more you will see of that, by the way. Nicely done. 54 Mod 1 killed off the 54. Now he's got an E50. I was about to say something about in his face, but we're just going to leave that. T-54 Mod 1. Come on, baby. He's not going to get him. I would expect the Mod 1 to die here momentarily. Oh, he survived that. All right. 50 bounced or missed. Looking for the Renagati. There he is. The other Renagati's pushing in. So we got... Here's another thing, another little tip for you, although this isn't a quick tip. Maybe we'll make it such. Pay attention to the mini-map and the way that the little icons are moving. Notice that this Renegade is isolated here. Also notice that we are fairly low on numbers of tanks, and the hero team is winning by quite a bit. And then you notice that the Convoy and the Pantera and the Renegade are all sort of flowing towards the Renegade. That doesn't necessarily mean they're all going there, but it really looks like, especially as now, and this is another thing I talk about a lot with camera work, he's looking this way. He's kind of concentrating the E50. He'd already looked at the Renegade, but if you are looking at this, you can see the Pantera right there is flowing towards that Renegade. So that gives you some SA that pretty soon both the Pantera and the Renegade are going to jump all over this other Renegade. There's a lot of other things going on. Maybe another tank gets lit and the Pantera thinks better of it and doesn't push over the hill, blah, blah, blah. But as you're watching the mini-map, you can get a general idea of flow and where people might be going. And it's good SA for you to build on. So now the LPC is up there. See, there's an example. The LPC showed up just as they're in there, and the ELC. So all of a sudden the counterattack is in danger of being counter-attacked. I like this. Just right in behind, pop this guy. I'm going to spin her. Oh, that sucks. The Renegade got a fire on us. That really stinks. Unfortunately, that hurts us because now we're a one-shot. LPC gets nuked. Very nice. And we're about to cap this, maybe? Yeah, there's only 3 guys left. He backs out. Assuming didn't push forward because of the ELC. I might have just gone down that hill because this really is just clean up. And even if the LC gets a cheeky shot and gets you, who cares? At least you pushed in. You might have even got the light on the guy, depending on where he went. Let's see if that happens. Probably not. I think we're about to cap out, as noted in the write-up. And we get a pretty big Rompel stomp. But I think it's pretty close to the write-up that we heard. So as far as the comment, they must have thought they won the flank when in reality we didn't really contest it. I think that was largely correct. There may have also been, because the game was really starting to go against them right there, that they may have thought also, hey, we got to make something happen on this side. And that is part and parcel of the comment that I talk about a lot on, yeah, you won your flank, but what are you going to do with it, right? And a lot of times the conclusion that is taken by the purple team or your team, whichever team continues to push, is that, well, we have to make something happen. And sometimes that's not a bad idea. But most of the time you want to go back or support the other flank. There is a thread going on, or there was anyway, on the NA forums where somebody talked about this very thing. And they had a good point. I have mentioned this and talked about it a lot, that it's not necessarily analog, as in you always go back, or you must go back, or if you go back, it's a win, vice a loss, all that. There's a lot of nuances to it. You don't necessarily have to go back to spawn. This is an encounter mode. Or to the other flank. You just probably don't need to keep pushing into campers. That's probably the biggest one. And then get your tank and your gun to a good place. Another great point that was made is that abandoning a flank before you completely win it can sometimes cause you problems because you strip a gun from that flank and you don't quite kill the last couple guys. I've managed to do that myself. That's not a factor on this one. So I do like the fallback. I think they did a nice job. They blunted that push. They killed a couple extra tanks that maybe could have caused problems if they would have come around behind everybody there. To some extent, I think what happened over there was a little bit irrelevant in terms of the rest of the game because it was going so well the way of the green team. Break. There were 5 or so tanks over there that weren't fighting in the middle, and 2 tanks and a scout kind of kept them busy. So you can see how that's completely all wrapped up together, right? It's not a this thing or that thing or this one thing that won it. It is, you have to take the whole thing into account and have a good perspective of the whole thing. But what they did, fall back, maul that push, was all great. So nicely done there, Captain History. GG. Playing the old AMX-30, you don't see a whole lot of replays of the AMX-30. That used to be quite a popular tank for some of the very best players. I don't know how popular it is anymore at this point, based on, I'm thinking 3 or 4 years ago. But it's still a pretty good tank. The gun will troll you a little bit in its derpiness, but overall it's got nice mobility, a decent turret minus the big tumor on it. You can see it's one of these Tuma tanks here. So that thing can get pinned pretty easily while you're playing hold down. So it's not a fantastic turret, but it's okay. But it's got mobility, hits hard, a little bit of a derpy gun, all that good stuff. That's all I got for today, guys. Thanks for sending that in, Captain History. Much appreciated. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we will see ya.